All right, our last speaker today is Ben Makansi. When did I get to that? 2020-ish, I think. My memorable point with Ben is among other things, we connected on some concepts of tech and the dry eye community, and used to have these long, just kind of brainstorming sessions about, wow, what we could use to help bring the community together more. I still have like giant sticky notes from when you visited our office in Pulsbo, and we talked to this. All right, come on up, Ben, please.
Thank you. All right. So my dry eye journey begins in 2017 when I started to wake up with my eyes looking like Superman's with his heat vision activated. Incredibly red, incredibly burning. I had no idea what was going on. I got the usual typical kind of runaround from doctors, went to my primary care physician first, was told it was allergies, went to a local optometrist, was told it was dry eyes, and was given Systane and sent on my way. Ran into a fellow dry eye sufferer at a New Year's Eve party who told me I might have MGD. Went to a couple of specialists in that, and this circus continued until I simultaneously realized that I was having issues with my sleep. So I was waking up about 13 times an hour throughout the night, and waking up basically out of breath, choking on my tongue. I realized as well that I was in the middle of orthodontic treatment that was taking longer than expected, about 3 years at that point, and my orthodontist couldn't really explain why it was taking so long. I started to do some self-tests, realized that my family just kind of has big eyes, and I had big eyes at the time. I took a slow motion video of my blinking and looking in different directions, and I realized my eyes only close when I am looking completely down. And what happens when you sleep, I don't know if anyone knows, but your eyes roll up. And so I discovered that literally my eyes were not closing when I was sleeping and throughout the day. And because I was simultaneously having issues with my sleep and the alignment of my teeth, I started to suspect that there may be just like something going on with this region of my body. It turns out, I'm skipping over a lot for the sake of time, but it turns out that all of these were due to the same underlying cause of my face not growing properly when I was a kid. So there are a few possible explanations for this, but number one, when I was a kid, my dentist perpetuated what is now widely considered a pretty barbaric practice of extracting all 4 of my premolars, and the actual eruption of the teeth and gradual alignment of the dental arch is what actually encourages the forward and wide growth of the midface, of the entire face actually. And this is what leads to a healthy airway, which prevents sleep apnea. And this is what also leads to proper support underneath the eyes so that the lower lid can rest at the proper position to allow for occlusal of the eyelids and proper expression of the meibomian glands. So this led me down a long journey of fixing this literal anatomical issue. I had an adult expander put in that was bone-borne with screws in my upper jaw to split my upper palate and gave me about 7 millimeters of expansion at the midpoint of my face, maybe a couple millimeters out here. I had a couple of surgeries on my eyes. I had an orbital decompression surgery to allow my eyeballs to sit farther back and a little bit further down. I had infraorbital rim implants put in to properly support my lower lids. And I had maxillomandibular advancement, which is a fancy word for double jaw advancement to allow for the opening of my airway so I could sleep properly. I stand before you today wearing a face that I was not wearing several years ago. People who knew me then and know me now, they still recognize me, but if you saw photos side by side, you would see the differences. And a big part of the journey for me has been basically accepting the fact that I never got the face that I was supposed to as a kid. And I have been immersed not just in the dry eye community, but in other patient communities around the chronic conditions that I experienced. And I'm increasingly convinced that facial growth as a focus of health and medicine is going to become increasingly important. Not just straightening the teeth, but actually guiding the proper growth of the face. I'm happy to talk more about this anytime. But in short, these surgeries have actually led to me being able to say something amazing, which is that I am cured of dry eye. I feel incredibly lucky. A lot of the journey for me has been a mental health struggle. There were times where I would spend 4 hours straight looking in the mirror and obsessing over the changes in my appearance. There were times where, like others mentioned, I really struggled to accept the possibility that I would not be able to cure this incredibly difficult disease. I still have some kind of side effects of the surgeries that I went through, namely, numbness in my mid-face that I feel when I'm not thinking about other things. But I no longer have dryness, and I no longer have sleep apnea. And I feel, very lucky to be able to say that today. I can't conclude, I feel like I can't really say things like, oh, there's light at the end of the tunnel or there's hope, because my particular case doesn't necessarily apply to you. But I feel like, my story is relevant because it is a rare success story in the world of dry eye. That's all I have to share today, and I appreciate your time.